let's go to this recent appearance of Steve Scalise on the news and what he's not willing to admit to.
But clear this up for me. Joe Biden won the election. He is the legitimate president of the United States. The election was not stolen, correct?
Look, Joe Biden's the president. There were a few states that did not follow their state laws. That's really the dispute that you've seen continue on. And look, if you're Joe Biden, you probably want to keep talking about impeachment and anything other than the fact that he's killed millions of American energy jobs.
But Congressman, I know Joe Biden's the president. He lives at the White House. I asked you, is he the legitimate president of the United States? And do you concede that this election was not stolen? Very simple question, please. Just answer
look, once the electors are counted, yes, he's the legitimate president. But if you're going to ignore the fact that there were states that did not follow their own state legislatively set laws, that's the issue at heart that millions of people still are not happy with and don't want to see happen again. Look, you can rehash the election from 2020 all day long, but there are people concerned about what the next election is going to look like. Are we going to finally get back to the way the rule of law works? And I think that's the biggest frustration many people have is those states that didn't follow the law, are they going to keep doing that in the future? Or are we going to finally get back to what the Constitution calls out for electing our leaders?
Okay, so it's a little bit less just relitigating that election, although they spent months telling people it was stolen and now they will say, but people are frustrated because it was stolen. It's an interesting little circle, but it's also how are we gonna stop these states from continuing to do it in the future? Which means a 50 state or mostly 4-state assault on voting rights that is already underway. We've done multiple stories about the huge number of pieces of legislation that have been filed, especially in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but also Nevada and Wisconsin as well, to try to stop people from voting. That is the one thing they will respond to this election with. It's not going to be changing their platform, actually running on something. It's going to be we got beat because a few too many people voted, and that's a lot easier to fix than the current state of our party ideologically or in terms of policy.
I just need people to hear the amount of racism that is coded in what he said, right? Like, let's get back to what our Constitution laid out, the laws that were violated. Name a law. What was violated? Mail-in voting, legal, right? Early voting, legal. Like, nothing was violated. There is no court case that held water. So what are you talking about, number one? Number two, when you say constitutional blah, 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 you basically mean, when the founding fathers and like uppity women couldn't vote and nor could our property, i.e. human beings. Like, this is what you're talking about. You're talking about going back to, not even going back to, tripling down on, quadrupling down on white minority rule. And when you can't win, even with a skewed system that works in your favor always, you lie and you just say, well, then people illegally voted and then there were ballots that were harvested and the machines flipped the votes. No, they didn't. No, it didn't happen. Sorry, right? And like, again, I think that it really is, the other day I was looking at like voter turnout, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, was something like 67%. Like, that's huge for the 2020 election.
Yeah, that's
unprecedented. And that's incredible. And usually we barely scrape by to get like 51% of the voting population to actually come out to the polls. And so it is meaningful, and we should be making and gaining on what is it? Staking claims on the gains made. It's I don't know, word salad Monday morning. But the point is, yeah. The point is that what Steve Scalise is saying is that too many people of color voted in this election. We need to get back when it was just white people who voted and everyone else were too disenfranchised and too kept from the polls and too many hurdles and too strapped with like 3 different jobs for them to actually get to vote. Don't get it twisted. And the other thing is, as soon as he said he's not willing to agree that that Biden is the legitimate president, cut the mic, man. That's it. We're done. Oh, cool. Oh, so not okay. Bye. Because like we talk about facts and reality on this show, but you're over here. So bye.
Yeah, and like I like that you asked the question because I think it's a great shortcut. It's not quite as good of a shortcut to getting where these people are at than asking, do you believe that Democrats are sacrificing babies to some goat god and drinking its blood? But the overlap between people who think the election was stolen and think that Hillary Clinton drinks hormones like a circle. But if they answered incorrectly, then yeah, because if you keep them on at that point, then you are helping to spread the misinformation. And you have to decide, is that what you want your show to be, regardless of whatever your show is?
Quick clarification, Hillary Clinton does drink hormones, as any woman over the age of 55 does also drink hormones.
Yeah,
they
maybe not the specific ones they talk about in the pizza thing.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.